everybody, and welcome back to the WTF1 podcast. I didn't even say that properly, but we're back once again. Saudi Arabia Grand Prix around Jeddah. It's the penultimate round of the season, and it's Tommy, of course, the WTF1 founder, alongside me to have a little preview, have a little chat about what we think of Jeddah after the first couple of practice sessions we've seen today. Tommy, how are you feeling? Good?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed a practice session for once. I think I don't mind it when it's a new track and there's a little bit of interest there. And it was, well, we'll go into it, but it is pretty bonkers.
Yes, it is. Well, obviously there was a lot of talk about whether or not we would even have a racetrack. You know, we saw obviously pictures being leaked only a month or so before we went there, and building was still very much happening even up until I think when the teams arrived. And so clearly, you know, it's very much a last minute thing. But fortunately, and I guess the main worry for a lot of fans, including myself, was that, you know, would the track actually be ready and would the cars be okay going round there? You know, of course, the FIA have signed it off, but at the same time, you never really know until you send out 20 F1 cars.
There's a bit of a concern, wasn't there, at the start of FP2 when it was like, start of F2 practice. F2, the first F2 practice, and it's like, it's delayed. And they didn't say why. It was just a long time. And we're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it got underway fine. And, well, we're racing on it now. So we're going to get a race, all being well.
Oh, don't say that, Tommy. Don't say that. We'll wait until Sunday to see if that happens. Let's get into some questions, shall we? At Lil Ledford, is this track pushing things too far and disasters waiting to happen? Do we really need a fastest street circuit if any shunt, blowout or brake failure that would park a car at other tracks could have devastating consequences here? What exactly that would park a car? What exactly?
Maybe they mean that if they had it at another track, they could just go into a runoff area.
Right. Okay.
Maybe be fine.
But I guess the question, is that it's very narrow. There's a lot of walls, you know, street circuit or not, you know, however you want to look at it. Because obviously it's not actually in a street; it's a built circuit. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's one concern is certainly that. Obviously, they have taken the same kind of safety measurements into this. You know, they've brought in obviously huge amounts of barriers. They've also brought in safer barriers, which is like steel and foam. You would have seen if you'd watched our everything you need to know about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix video that we put out yesterday, I think it was. You know, they've put in the precautions necessary, at least from the FIA's side of point of view, that you know, it should be fine. I think the concern for me, and after watching practice, is the slow cars and the fast cars, which I guess is more towards qualifying than it is maybe the race, where you've got cars off the racing line and sometimes on the racing line because there isn't really any other way to go because it's so narrow at places. And, you know, having that pace differential between someone on a hot lap and someone on a slowing down lap. And obviously into qualifying, they will have a minimum time set, but that doesn't necessarily stop them from slowing down quite a bit at certain parts of the track.
Yeah, we saw, I mean, the concern of the fact that people are really concerned about this track. And a lot of the questions we got were like, is this too dangerous? It's a bit, you know, it feels unsafe. I mean, we've just had Leclerc go off in FP2 in the section that I think most people were worried about, which is turn 22, maybe?
Yes.
Still learning it, but 22, which is obviously the bit where there is a little bit of runoff, but there's a kind of a flat wall and you're going into that corner at very high speed. And we saw that. And while it was an absolute monster crash and Leclerc's car was absolutely obliterated, it has to be said, he obviously managed to walk away fine, thank goodness. So that does show that, you know, this track, yes, it does look a bit sketchy and scary and maybe some things that a lot of people aren't used to. But, you know, they're not going to just have a concrete wall and be like, oh, no, this is fine. They've got the safety precautions in, and he obviously went into that safer tech pro barrier and was able to walk away despite going into it 150 miles an hour. So from that side, it's not it's one of those things where, like, yes, there could be an enormous shunt, but you have to say, I know this person said you can have a blowout or brake failure anywhere. I mean, Verstappen and Hamilton, when they crashed at Silverstone, that's loads of runoff area and gravel, and even Max then went in and had a huge shunt and was in hospital. And if you get a tire blowout anywhere, you're not going to have a great time. It could be the exit of Monaco. That's bad. Just, yes, it would be really bad, but it could be, that is unfortunately, while every safety precaution is in F1, it's never zero. Like, look what happened to Grosjean. No one ever thought anything of Bahrain being too unsafe. And, you're almost the worst happened. So, in my opinion, it's one of those tracks that all the safety precautions are there, and they can't just do a track with it not being safe. It does look a little bit daunting, and it's like, oh my word, this is a bit crazy. But they wouldn't go ahead if it wasn't safe.
Exactly. There is obviously the talk about, them going there for money, but at the same time, if a disaster happens, that's on F1's head. If they haven't, if they've signed off a circuit that isn't ready, that is going to be, unbelievable amounts of backlash for that. So I still am a little bit concerned if there is a freak accident like we had with Grosjean. Of course, there are the certain areas like turn 22, 23 where Charles Leclerc went in. You can see the amount of barrier there to soak up the energy. I'm concerned maybe if there is a freak accident on a straight somewhere where two cars collide and go off into a wall that perhaps doesn't have that same safety backup, then I don't know. But that's something that we can't really do much about. And there are obviously circuits, as you say, Tommy, that can happen anywhere. So I just hope they get the methodology of where drivers should slow down, and they will speak about in commentary where they should speak in their sort of driver's briefing where they can work out where is the best place to slow down.
Yeah, that'll be tonight, won't it?
Yes,
as we're recording, tonight. So I think that'll be quite the briefing after that,
because there was some really near misses as well. Hamilton there was riding on board with in the last sector, and he was kind of like twitching at the wheel as he saw a car like going around a blind left-hander towards the end, and then he saw three cars like parked up on the left-hand side. I think there was one that on the previous lap as well. Can't remember who it was, but again, it was like really. There's quite a few near misses already. That
I'm going to move this question here because we had a lot of questions actually about qualifying. And I totally agree with you. That is the sketchiest thing for me, is the slowing down, because I put it on Twitter, I think, just during FP1, before we even got it in FP2. And I was like, I really don't hope we have a Monza situation, because if we have what happened in Monza, at least that's a big wide open track. Well, not wide, but, like open, you can bail out onto grass or runoff or something like that. If that's happening and there's a group of 4 or 5 cars going really slowly and another person's on a hot lap doing 200 miles an hour around a blind flat out corner, it's a plane crash, isn't it? So exactly. We've seen it. There was a very close moment in Baku a few years ago with the 2 Toro Rossos when Hartley almost sent Gasly into space. I mean, that would have been an absolute plane crash as well. So they really need to sort that out, because it's awful, isn't it? It's very concerning.
Yeah, and there is this minimum lap time, but
it's not enough. It's not enough because they're all dawdling on the racing line,
and and they will try to do that because they don't want to do an outlap too fast and take some life out the tires, but at the same time, safety should be the paramount thing here. Anyway, next question, which is about qualifying being dangerous. Matt Smith _44. How worrying do you think the closing speeds out of the blind corners will be in quali? Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in practice. It's not only going to come down to the understanding of the drivers and how slow they should go in what areas of the circuit, but also the radio communication from the team to the driver. We've seen some questionable moments with Mazepin, for example, this year, where he hasn't really, he's kind of said that he hasn't really been informed or not informed correctly or a misunderstanding, whatever. that can't happen in qualifying, especially in Q1 where there's 20 cars going around. You'd think you wouldn't have a problem. 6.1 kilometers this track is. It's one of the longest circuits on the calendar, but it's like a 1 minute 28 lap time because of how quick, average of like 150 odd miles an hour over the course of a lap.
Yeah, quicker than Spa, isn't it?
Yeah, so
only Monza's quicker, which is
the fact that it's blind. I guess it's that combination of having such high speed corners, but also it being blind. That is a mixture that they have to get right as to where they implement some proper safety procedures.
Yeah. The onboards are actually terrifying when you watch, when you see the speed difference. I don't like seeing that anyway at any other track, but here it's even more like, oh my word, all it takes. I think Anthony Davidson said it in the commentary in FP2 that all it takes is one driver in the queue that's like, oh, I'm not waiting, moves to the side and a car's coming, launching. My word. Yeah, I just think they really need to do something about, I've seen some people discussing, do you do a split qualifying like Monaco, which I don't think would be needed if you just did it properly. And this minimum, minimum lap time thing is obviously to a point. I actually saw a tweet from Gary Anderson that said a maximum sector time, something like 105% of an average sector time is all that's needed to prevent this traffic problem.
Yeah.
And he said a complete maximum lap time is a waste of time. And I totally agree that obviously, because the problem is they can go as fast as they want in the first two sectors. And then really you see them, they're barely moving. They pretty much stopped. And you don't want to see cars stopped on track when other cars are going 200 miles an hour. That is not good at all. So, I really hope, to be honest, they should have sorted that out after the mess at Monza. I can't believe, this should have been sorted long before this race. So, worst case scenario, they should be doing it in the driver's briefing right now and saying, no, we need to stop taking the mick here.
Yeah, and they have the parameters in order to measure that. You literally just look at someone's lap time, and there's so much data on their steering wheels, and you've got stuff like when the virtual safety car comes out, you've got a certain amount of speed that you have to be under and things like that. So I think there is definitely possibility to implement it if they wanted to, and there's no real gain for a spectator side of things. You don't really gain anything from them having slower outlaps and whatever. That's purely on performance. So hopefully they implement something like that, because it just makes me feel very, very just weird, and it feels a bit off when they're allowed to do that.
It does feel like it does really feel like it's only, I don't want these things to change when it happens, like sort it before, because you can see you don't want it to happen where something absolutely awful happens and then they go, we should change that, because it's clear that if they don't change it, it will happen at some point. Some driver will get unlucky, like you said. How many near misses we've had already this season, and they're not going to be near misses forever, are they? So
no, absolutely not. This podcast is brought to you by Rev Motorsport. Rev Racing is a game where you can play and earn an in-game currency, which can be converted into real-life money. And Rev is the utility token that serves as the primary currency of purchase, utility, and action across all Rev Motorsport blockchain games by Animoca brands. If you already have one of the exclusive WTF1 NFT cars, you'll be entitled to be airdropped a WTF1 Catalyst item to upgrade your car to the next level. If you don't have one of our cars, but you're interested in getting involved with Rev Motorsport and Rev Racing, you can head over to OpenSea.io and look up Rev Racing to see all of their NFT cars. For more information on the upgrade system, the link is in the description below. There are loads of games in the Rev Motorsport ecosystem, so what are you waiting for? Get involved with Rev Racing, earn some real-life cash, and have fun while doing it. We'll see you on track. Next up, we have Beer 52. What's better than 8 free beers? That's right, 10. The festive season is upon us, and in the spirit of giving and charity, Beer 52 are offering listeners 10 free beers. All you have to do is go to www.beer52.com/WTF1 and cover the £5.95 for postage to claim your free case. What's more, do it before the 17th of December and get 2 extra beers. But remember, you have to be over 18. Beer 52 is a beer club like no other. They send experts around the globe to find the best beer available anywhere on planet Earth. Each month, their members receive a new case, usually from a different part of the world. Members have had beer from more than 40 countries across 5 continents. If dark beer's not your thing, simply choose the light option. As well as all the delicious beer, you'll receive Ferment magazine, which delves into the beers, breweries and theme. You'll also get 2 delicious snacks to wash down with the beer. After redeeming your first case, you'll join the monthly beer club, £24 per month, no minimum commitment, pause or cancel at any time. And finally, to end this ad break, we want you to take a break. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders and take a deep breath. Sometimes we all need a reminder to take a little time for ourselves, and Calm can help. So yeah, we're partnering with Calm, the #1 mental wellness app, to give you the tools that improve the way you feel. Clear your head with guided daily meditations, improve your focus with Calm's curated music tracks, and drift off to dreamland with Calm's imaginative sleep stories. And if you go to calm.com/WTF1, you'll get a limited time offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription, which includes hundreds of hours of programming, and new content is added every week. Over 100 million people around the world use Calm to take care of their minds. Sleep more, stress less, live better with Calm. For you listeners, Calm is offering a special limited time promotion of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/WTF1. So go to calm.com/WTF1 for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/WTF1. Okay, next up, at Yazith. What improvements would you make to the track, if any? Well, obviously it's quite difficult to really judge now after 2 free practice sessions, because we firstly haven't seen what they like in qualifying, and also what they more importantly are like in the race. And again, we sort of have rose-tinted glasses on a little bit because it's a new track. It's you got the sparks, you got everything. We're kind of like, oh, a new track. This is really exciting. All the drivers are learning. They're making mistakes, whatever. I think that there's not much. There's not much you can do really at this stage because they've built the track. But
they're going to watch this podcast and go, "Get to work, guys."
I wouldn't put it past them actually. But yeah, obviously it's 27 turns. It's very high speed. I think that, there's not... my gut instinct is that the race is going to be pretty dull, mainly because I don't think they're going to be able to follow in these ridiculously high-speed corners. Like, any sort of air disturbance for the car behind is going to suffer a huge amount through that sort of middle part of the lap. I say middle. It's like, I think you get to about turn 11 in about 20 seconds. It's ridiculous. But I think they're going to really struggle. Obviously, there is an opportunity if a car can stay quite close to then get a huge old run, through 8 corners or whatever it is, because they hardly lift towards the end of the lap. So I just think they need more heavy braking zones and don't really have any. So I don't know. I just think they're going to really struggle to overtake on Sunday.
Yeah, I really like the track at the moment. But again, it's that case
of because you like Monaco.
Yeah. Well, it's not the thing. It's not even Monaco. It's like the opposite of Monaco. It's like unbelievable high speed. I think it's. Yeah. Well, we don't know. We don't know that yet, but it's probably going to be difficult to overtake. I don't deny that. I think it's going to be really hard to overtake. I think there's going to be DRS trains and all sorts.
Well, something that I just reminded of was that Max even sacrificed more time in FP2 to sort out his 1 lap pace, and because they were like, you're going to lose a bit of time on your high fuel run. He's like, I don't care, because clearly I think that's what the teams as well are expecting, is that it's going to be very difficult to overtake.
Track position. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think if I had to change something, I'd probably do the opposite to what you do, where you say you want more heavy braking zone. I would say that the straights need to be straight. There's too many, like the the flat out bits are great to follow, but they're all curved. One thing I was thinking actually,
you'd lose about 14 turns if you.
That's what I mean. But the reason kind of like Baku works is because they get a massive slipstream and they follow all the way down. Whereas I worry that yes, it's flat out, but will they be able to follow and pass when it's twisting? And I think that's something that
and narrow as well. Obviously,
yeah, Valencia, I feel like had a problem with that, where the circuit, the straights on the circuit went actually straight, and it meant it was really difficult to pass because you couldn't get a decent run.
And that was just a small sort of curve, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that wasn't like anything like what we've got.
Whereas this I was thinking about this track. It's basically like someone has seen Maggots and Beckett's and gone, make the whole track that.
Not quite to that degree, but I know what you mean. It is. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's just snakes all the way. Like the whole thing is just, like say, roller coaster, like snaking side to side, hairpin, snaking side to side again, hairpin.
Yeah. Well, look, we're shooting it before it's actually done any racing action, but at the same time, I think it's a fair prediction to think that the race is going to be difficult to
it's going to be Baku. It's either 100% chaos or nothing happens, and
that's the thing. If it's chaos and if it is difficult to overtake, but we get a crazy first few laps or a crazy
safety
qualifying tomorrow,
and
you put someone in the lead like a Lando Norris or whatever, like we saw in Russia. You never know, because a difficult overtaking track can lead to amazingly tense moments.
And results like Ocon winning.
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks to Latifi, I think it was, for that particular thing of just holding up the entire field. But I think qualifying tomorrow will be sensational. I think that will look awesome, especially with, in Q3, absolutely pedal to the metal. We'll talk about maybe our predictions of what that's going to be shortly. But quali should be amazing. Next question. Gillingham Noah. How difficult will it be to overtake around this track? I think we've pretty much covered that. 3 DRS zones might just lead to a train forming. Yeah, 3 DRS zones. So I don't know. It's difficult to think that there wouldn't be some kind of overtakes when literally they're just like, have another DRS. That's fine. Have another one. But at the same time, and we know the term DRS train comes up a lot, and this may well be another one of those where we get a train of cars. We will see. This is all predictions, all a bit of fun and games, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Nonetheless, arguably all right asks, do you think Mercedes will steamroller on race day like everybody expects? If it goes to plan, we don't have a crazy race. Yes, I could even see a 1-2 for Mercedes coming this weekend. And Verstappen very much on the third place, taking fastest lap, and then going into Abu Dhabi, praying that Mercedes aren't as quick as they were in Saudi Arabia this weekend. That's how I think it's going to go. I think Bottas looks like he's on form as well. He sounds like he's enjoying the track as well. It's crazy to think that Mercedes haven't actually had a 1-2. Neither have Red Bull, and it's literally just McLaren.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
But what a time for Mercedes to do it if they were to. So no, I think it's going to be a Merc domination.
I cannot disagree with you there. I think, I'd be very surprised if it's not a handbot there, personally, unless there's some kind of carnage. And then, that will not quite be as close as it was. I think the dream for every neutral is that Hamilton wins, Verstappen second, and then they're pretty much equal on
Verstappen
points.
Was fastest lap as well.
Hamilton fastest lap, and they're dead equal. But either way, even if there's 1 or 2 points,
if Hamilton wins the race, there's no chance of getting fastest lap, is there?
Yeah, and even if there's 1 or 2 points in between them, it would still go down to Abu Dhabi, where whoever wins the title, and that's what I think everyone wants to see. So, that'd be good.
But nothing's a given, though, right? And I've seen a few comments.
2021.
Oh, Matt, stop being excited. Oh, wow, it's Mercedes have done
stop
this.
enjoying Formula One.
How many times have we discussed on this podcast where Verstappen's been written off the championship, Hamilton's been written off the championship? Yes, on paper, on form, it looks as though Mercedes are going to be the quickest, but still tune in, because it could easily go out the window. We've seen already Charles Leclerc have that massive crash. Things like that could throw the race wide open. In terms of strategy, in terms of when the safety car comes out, whatever.
And it has to happen when one of them's pitted and the other hasn't, that kind of thing. completely changed the complexion of the race. So
exactly, even just a little VSC, like Bottas managed to jump Perez, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
When that came out. So yeah, we'll see. When has the form book really ever been the thing that happens? We will
exactly.
I'm looking forward to it. So any other sort of thoughts, Tommy? I mean, we've kind of run to the end of, I guess, the questions, most of it being about danger and whatnot. We saw a picture of the Paddock Club falling apart as well, didn't we? That was circulating Twitter,
which a bit sketchy.
I say falling apart. It was just a few.
A little floorboards cracked. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really looking forward to firstly qualifying, because I do genuinely obviously there's always something in the back of my mind that thinks the race could be extremely boring, and it does look a little bit sketchy, but I am enjoying it a lot. I think the track is absolutely awesome, and it's nice to see something completely different that is exciting. I wouldn't want, again, sounds very much like my Monaco arguments, but I wouldn't want every track to be like that.
Yeah.
But it's nice for the variety, and why not have a crazy high speed 27 turn carnage track? And because at the end of the day, it's a world championship, and you want different tracks and a nice bit of variety.
Let's speak very quickly, and I know some people watching this podcast religiously thinks I hate Sergio Perez for whatever reason. I really don't. I'm just slightly more critical about him. Is maybe him not looking particularly great after the first couple of sessions?
That was surprising,
which is quite big. Obviously, it's a new track. People take sometimes a bit longer to learn it, but he was kind of out of the pace for both P1 and P2. So, he has to be fourth, doesn't he? Like he doesn't, not saying he has to beat the Mercedes, not saying he's getting near Verstappen. He just needs to fill in that slot between what will definitely be Gasly P5 and him in P4. That's kind of where he needs to slot in. It's the top three and then probably Gasly. So if that doesn't happen, they just won't have any strategy elements, will they?
No, and it does look quite concerning that he could end up getting jumped in quali by a Gasly or a Norris or a Sainz. Maybe not Leclerc, because I imagine he's going to start the back with a whole new car and a million part changes. But he
might have been running an old engine.
Maybe. Practice, so. We'll see. But Sergio does need to pick up the pace, because they still do have a chance of the constructors as well. A very good chance. So they're only 5 points behind. And doesn't look like it's going to be Red Bull's strongest track, but then they did win there last year in Abu Dhabi. So they need to be in the hunt. And he just needs to be up there, because perfect scenario for Mercedes is this new kind of decent form of Bottas, where he had an absolutely appalling start to the year where he was nowhere.
Yeah.
But if he ever needs to be doing what he does best and just finishing P2 behind Hamilton, this is exactly when they need it. So, interesting. Yeah, it's going to be. Despite all the talk of the circuit's not good for overtaking and Mercedes probably going to win by a mile, there's so much this season that just makes every race so exciting, and so many different variables. It won't be dull, I'm sure.
There you go. It's going to be the dullest race of the season. Thanks, Tommy. Predictions. Let's go through what we predicted going into this weekend. I said one of the championship rivals makes a big mistake. I was hoping that would happen in like FP1 or FP2 and someone would lose a front wing, but that hasn't happened. I don't think it's probably going to happen from here on in, but we will see. And I also went for at least 2 safety cars. That could be VSCs, SCs, might even throw a little yellow flag in there. We'll see. But
I have gone for Ferrari on the podium.
How do you feel about that after Leclerc's big crash?
Not great, because I very much expect a Hambot there now. And also this one, biggest dry gap to pole this year, I'm also regretting, because it does look like Bottas is on the pace with Hamilton. I think Hamilton is getting pole very comfortably, or if he doesn't, exactly. So, We'll
see. That seems to be the running phrase of the podcast. We'll see, but that's
we'll see. It's a preview podcast.
It is, exactly. Katie went for Crofty says the circuit map looks like a knife or a hair grip on commentary. That's not happened, as far as I'm aware. I don't know why she was so confident that was going to happen.
She was.
And Daniel Ricciardo.
And speaking of not going to happen.
Daniel Ricciardo to be best of the rest. Yeah, savage. We do love you, Danny. McLaren, again, just seem a little bit behind Ferrari and especially in the hands of Danny Ric. It just hasn't really worked out again.
Yeah, I think he just wants the season to end now, despite winning.
Quickly at Saudi Arabian FP2 results, because I don't have that all. He was 11th and Lando was 12th. So I apologise to Danny. He was a minuscule ahead of Lando, but again, they're
still not best of the rest in 11th.
Exactly, yeah, almost a second behind Hamilton and Bottas out there, and Pierre Gasly had a lovely little run as well, didn't he?
I think
in P3.
I think if you had to predict now, you'd say Gasly's being best of the rest.
Yeah, probably not McLaren. Although, to be fair, we say that McLaren's probably been the one team that always seems to turn it around quite a bit from free practice to qualify.
I'm
not
saying
that they'll get ahead of Altauri, but they'll probably get a lot closer than what we've seen in practice.
I can see Gasly qualifying like third or fourth and then just dropping like a stone again in the race, exactly like Qatar, unfortunately.
The fans went for Daniel Skews F1, said at least 2 red flags possible. I think if there is any sort of crash, it's going to be at least a safety car, if not a red flag. Depends how bad it is. Kiss Barnabs 2, more than 5 DNFs. I think that's very likely. And F1 Aditya, Lance Stroll, top 4 finish. That's a weird one.
The fans have really gone ham on the whole. This is going to be Baku times 10.
It's going to be madness. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Tommy. What's your final thoughts?
Too. My final thoughts is bring it on.
My final thoughts is we'll see.
My final thoughts is let's find out when we watch the actual action, and we will then know if we've just been talking absolute rubbish.
Look, people tune in because they know we talk rubbish.
Exactly.
But we're just F1 fans chatting to other F1 fans that listen to this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Tommy, thank you for your company as always. Let us know if you do enjoy these preview podcasts. Give us a like if you do. You can't publicly dislike anymore, but if you didn't like it, press the dislike. And also comment what you think is going to happen in the race. That'll be some predictions that we can have a look at some point. So thumbs up from Tommy.
Thanks to everyone on Twitter that posted all the crazy stuff that they'd been listening to our podcast for like 27,000 minutes. And stuff.
I saw that. I genuinely, because we had a Team WTF1 meetup as well, didn't we? A virtual one a couple of days ago where they were saying about the podcast being their favorite thing. And we were like, I'm so sorry. That the amount of minutes some of you guys.
It is that's the biggest madness. Shock was the minutes underneath.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like you've listened to the WTF podcast for, as you say, like 27,000 minutes. I'm like, how do you do that? Thank you, and I'm sorry, your poor brain cells. That's it. Thank you, Tommy. Everybody, look forward to quali and the race. Of course, we will have normal qualifying watch along tomorrow. We'll have internet special reactions on Sunday and podcast Monday, and all that beautiful content as always. We'll be uploading pretty much every single day. So look forward to that. Bye.
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 Bye. Why do we always put that voice on?
It's so weird.